So, Frankenstein is not a monster. Why would I say something like that? Well, before I even go into that, I'm going to give a quick synopsis of the novel Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So, the novel goes like this. You have a man by Victor Frankenstein. He decides that he wants to create a living being. He's very smart and he figures out how to create life. So he robs graves, he finds body parts, arms, legs, heads, everything you need to create a human body. So he makes his monster 8 feet tall. He wanted his monster to be strong, fast, and extraordinary. And the monster is created, but as soon as the monster comes to life, Victor hates the monster because he's too ugly. So right away, he abandons the monster. He throws his jacket on the monster, trying to get away from it. And the monster keeps the jacket. He even wears it. So he runs away from his monster. He runs away from his laboratory. And for a while, he becomes sick. His friend takes care of him. And the monster kind of like discovers the world on his own without a guide. Now, the way the novel begins, the monster's not evil. The monster is not trying to kill anybody. The monster is not trying to get revenge. But through trying to find his own place in the world and finding that humankind would not accept him because he was too ugly, he became a monster. And that goes back to my assertion that Frankenstein, the monster, is not a monster. Here's why I'm saying this. If Frankenstein was from his creation, when Victor Frankenstein created the monster Frankenstein, I'm saying Frankenstein a lot, I know. But when Victor Frankenstein created the monster Frankenstein, if he had taken care or helped his monster that he himself created, the novel would have had a different outcome. Because the monster, the reason why he kills people in the novel is to get back at Victor. The only reason why the monster it goes on a rampage in the novel it's because people didn't accept him. Now, if the monster was beautiful and the monster was not ugly, would the people have received them in the novel? Yes, they would. The only reason why we consider Frankenstein the monster to be a monster is because he does not have the characteristics of a human. He's not, his flesh is rotting. You can see his bones. You can see his, everything under his skin. So naturally, you're afraid of that. Naturally, we're gonna call that a monster because he looks like the part. Um, if Victor Frankenstein had taken care of his monster, find a way to make his monster, see the world, or even in a way, if Victor Frankenstein, as a scientist, told his community that he had created a creation and it's very ugly, and he said that I have complete control over this monster, and that I'm going to control it. It's not going to hurt anybody. I believe that his like the people in the novel would have received the monster better. I'm not saying that they're going to welcome him in their communities. They're still going to be afraid of the monster because he does not have the look of a human. They're still going to be afraid of him, but the monster wouldn't have been a terror. He would have never killed Victor's wife. He would have never killed his family members. He would have never gone on a rampage. It's because Victor was afraid of his own creation. Why? It's because he was afraid of his own creation. That's why the monster became a monster. Because he saw that he wasn't accepted in the world. There's a scene in the novel where Frankenstein, he didn't know why people hated him. So, there was this man in the woods, he's near a fire, and the monster goes up to be close to the fire so he can warm himself up. And as soon as the man sees him, he runs away. And Frankenstein, the monster, he runs away too. Because he's like, what is he afraid of? I should be running too. I should be afraid of whatever he's afraid of. So everything that takes place, it's because Victor never explained to his monster that he was ugly and that he was different. There's another scene where the monster sees his reflection in the moonlight in a river, and he saw for the first time how ugly he was, and he saw why people hated him. So the reason why I'm saying Victor Frankenstein is more of a monster than the monster Frankenstein, it's because the monster would have been a different being if its master decided to take care of him. Um, I consider Victor Frankenstein to be more of a monster because he was the man, robbing graves, rotting corpse. This man goes into to the grave to grave sites at night. He takes dead bodies. He's opening caskets and taking dead bodies and putting them together and spending nights upon nights with dead bodies and trying to bring them to life. That sounds more like a monster to me. The monster, I mean, yes, it looks ugly. Yes, it's hideous. I understand that. But um, the way that the monster felt inside, the way that the monster really felt about himself and about others, if he had been welcomed, he would have never killed anybody. So that leads me to believe that the only reason why we consider Frankenstein to be a monster, it's because he looks different. It's because he's hideous. Because we can't say he's a monster because he kills people. The reason why, I mean, humans kill people. We go to war. We've had massive world wars. You know, we have massive murderers. We have all these type of things. So if we're going to judge Frankenstein to be a monster because he kills people, then all humans are monsters, or at least the ones who commit murders and the ones who kill others. Then they're monsters. So really, the only argument that defines the monster Frankenstein as a monster is the fact that he's ugly, the fact that he looks different. There is no other justification to say that Frankenstein is a monster. So my belief is that if Victor had treated his monster differently and slowly and you know in a welcomed manner, presented his monster to the world, I believe that people, yes, they would have been afraid of the monster because he was ugly. But at the same time, I believe that some people would have um, understand the monster and try to see what it was. A good example of this is the old man in the novel Frankenstein. He couldn't see, and he sat down and had a full conversation with the monster. So that meant, to me, that proves that the reason why a lot of um, beings are considered monsters, it's because they look like monsters. So at the end, who's really the monster? Is it Victor Frankenstein or Frankenstein? Because if you pick Frankenstein, the monster, as the monster, then you're just judging on how he looks. And that's why I believe that Frankenstein is not a monster. He's probably a monster through circumstances, not a monster by nature. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video.